Wanted to give you guys a review of Adam Davies' new book, Manbeasts, a personal investigation. Explorer Adam Davies has traveled to some of the most dangerous places in the world in search of these and other supposedly mythical beasts. In this extraordinary new book, he recounts his adventures hunting for the orang pendek, an unknown species of upright walking ape in Sumatra, his hunt for the yeti in Nepal, the Yeren or wild man in China, his search for the Almasty, another wild man in the mountains of eastern Russia, the Manbeasts or Indian yeti in the Garo hills of northern India, and his extraordinary adventures with Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, which included encounters that would change his life and worldview forever. Really great book. This one is. Then you get a better look at the cover. I believe the cover is supposed to represent an orang pendek, but don't quote me on that. He writes about his exploits and explorations in different continents. He's been to Indonesia, he's been to the Himalayas, India, where else did I say? China, and right here in the United States. And he's met many interesting people along the way, and he's explored these different hairy hominid or hominoid mysteries. It's a great book. I really liked it. He actually originally casted an orang pendek footprint in 2001, and that one was examined by Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Dr. Meldrum considered it to be pretty credible. Now there's one, I believe, that he casted a few years after that Jeff Meldrum said was bare. So you can't win them all. But there's some really great photographs. I'll show you some of those photos that are in the book. Like right here on the top, he's in the Shenanjia province. That's where they filmed the Monster Quest episode about the Chinese wild man. And this is in the Himalayas. Both of these photographs are in the Himalayas, as you can see. That's in the Himalayas, and these are some of the orang pendek footprint casts. That's in India, Himalayas again. This was a friend of Adam's that passed away, a fellow named Sahar. This bottom photo was from the Himalayas. This is from Indonesia. These are photos from when he went searching for Sasquatch. That's him with his then girlfriend Lori Simmons. These two photos are from the Himalayas. This one is in Indonesia, a lake called Gunung Tuja. This is in Russia. This is the Lake of Seven Peaks in Sumatra. These are in the Himalayas right here. This is the base camp in Nepal. Russia. Picture of Adam himself having a smoke. Possible bed in Russia. Possible orang pendek footprint cast in Sumatra. And Adam with the king of the Suku Anak Dalam. Right there. So, would I recommend this book? Yes. I would recommend Manbeasts by Adam Davies. Some great information in here, including Adam came very close to seeing an orang pendek on one of his expeditions, but he just wasn't in the right place at the right time. But some of his friends actually saw one, but unfortunately he wasn't that lucky. But he did have some interesting encounters here in the United States in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State, where he heard rhythmic pounding underground. Apparently this creature supposedly lived underground. It was right underneath the ground that he and Lori were standing on. Also Dr. Brian Sykes. Apparently Dr. Brian Sykes had sponsored one of Adam's trips to the Pacific Northwest, and Dr. Sykes was there as well. So, some very fascinating stuff. Adam did not actually see a Sasquatch. He has not actually seen a hairy hominoid, but he's come pretty close. And he's actually he's extremely fascinated. He's been on Finding Bigfoot. In fact, one of the expeditions was about when he helped out on Finding Bigfoot. One of the chapters. So if I were to rate this book, I would probably give it about, I would say, a 9.5 out of 10. It's a terrific book. I highly recommend it. You can go to AdamDavisExplorer.com to check out his website. You can get his book through there. Of course, Amazon and all the other different places that you can go and purchase this terrific book. I say get it. This is a review of the new episode of America Unearthed that aired on H2. And actually, you can actually watch the episode on History.com right now. Just look for the America Unearthed page, and you'll be able to see under latest videos, under latest episode, the new Bigfoot episode is there. So it was a good one. I really liked it. A fellow named Scott Walter, who is a geologist by profession, decided that he would look into the legend of Sasquatch as relates to how what the rocks can tell us, what carvings can tell us. He starts out talking to Ed Welch, aka the first Billy Jack, about his experience in the very area where Ed had his sighting in 2008. We also see him discuss what he believes he saw, referring to Ed. He believes he saw a Sasquatch. He said it was 8 foot tall. Then Scott, who was very skeptical, by the way, he would like to see perhaps some remains, some bones or something like that being found of these creatures. Scott visits with Doug Hychek of White Wolf Entertainment, and Doug actually has a very interesting hair. He also has a very interesting collection of Sasquatch items. He shows Scott his replica Gigantopithecus skull, and also his Grays Harbor footprint cast. I have a copy of that one myself. And Doug agrees to have the hair tested. And then Scott travels from where Doug is in Minnesota all the way to California, but not before he's told of a witness who had a sighting himself and has, well, he didn't take the video himself, but a couple about 10 miles east of where this individual had his sighting took a video with a cell phone camera. So we travel to California, where we see my good friend Kathy Strain. She talks about the pictographs, not petroglyphs. There's a difference. Petroglyphs are carved into the stone. Pictographs are drawn onto the stone. And they discuss the hairy man pictographs. And in fact, Kathy shows Scott a replica of the hairy man, the Bigfoot family, from the can't remember what the Indian reservation is named, but it's the Yakut tribe. The Yakut tribe, yes. I was trying to search my memory banks to find out which one it was. And Scott also, Kathy kind of says, would you like to go see Bigfoot's bones? Well, and Scott says, well, yes. Well, the bones actually turned out to be a set of bleached rocks that looked like bones. And Kathy explained that there was a story of it was a legend of the what was that? I think it was Kurok, I believe it was the Kurok tribe, where they depicted a Sasquatch which carried a basket on his back to collect young children, and they threw a flaming pine cone down into his basket, and he caught on fire and he burned up. He asked, which way should I fall? And they said, fall to the north. So he fell to the north. And that's where the supposed bones came from. So it was interesting. It was interesting to see Kathy. Good to see Kathy Strain on the episode. And then Scott, who's still skeptical, but he's looking into the Native American legends. And he says that the oral traditions are very interesting. He flies all the way to Nepal to see if there's a possible relationship between Sasquatch and the Yeti, because of the theory of the Sasquatch or the Yeti crossing the Bering Straits land bridge into America. And that may be the explanation for where Sasquatch came from. And I think it's a pretty plausible possibility. He speaks to a couple of eyewitnesses. Actually, one eyewitness, one person who was a local there, who had heard a Yeti. And then they tell him of a monastery at Kamjung, which has a supposed Yeti scalp. He goes to this monastery, and he sees this scalp inside this box, this locked box. And he asks if he can take a closer look at the scalp. Now, he cannot remove it. He cannot touch it. But he can take photographs of it. The box was open. He was taking photographs of the scalp, and he noticed a hair which appeared to be similar to the one that Doug had given for testing. So, he took a photograph of that hair, of one of the hairs, He showed it turned out it looked like it had been cut rather than broken off, and the medulla. Hair has to have medulla on it to be successfully tested for DNA. So he goes back to the United States and goes back to Minnesota and meets with Doug and also meets with this witness. Now, for those of you who have not seen the episode, I won't spoil it for you as to what the findings were on the hair. But I will say it was interesting. It was interesting findings, and the witness who had the sighting saw an auburn-colored creature, and this was in Minnesota, by the way. And the witness showed the video, which was taken with a cell phone camera by a couple 10 miles east of that location. And that video has actually been around for a few years now. It shows what appears to be an individual ducking down in the forest and walking through the forest. Now, we as humans, we tend to bob up and down when we walk. This thing seemed to glide a little bit. Now, I always found this particular video very interesting. If in fact it's credible and it's real. So, if I were to rank America Unearthed tracking Bigfoot, I would give it about a 8.5 out of 10 stars. So, I liked it. It was a good special. I mean, the guy was still skeptical at the end, but he certainly went in with eyes wide open. So, I enjoyed it. It was good.